This video was originally presented as part of a tutorial on ways to approach efficient modeling at the 2016 No Magic World Symposium. Thank you to No Magic for granting permission for a wide public distribution of this content. And I encourage you to consider attending a future No Magic World Symposium if you have interest in their products. There are a number of speakers that are featured, invited, and present, as well as the No Magic staff, and it's a great way to learn about No Magic's products and help advance the state-of-the-art of model-based systems engineering. Smart packages are a very useful feature in Magic Draw, particularly when they're query-based. So you can make a smart package if you want, and I'm just going to make an example here of an ad hoc smart package. And you can go ahead and drag in pretty much anything you want into that smart package, and it's now available. So if you're just making a quick collection of things, they work fairly well. But they're also extremely useful when they're query-based, particularly when coupled with tags and stereotypes. So I like to go ahead and make a functional, logical, physical stereotype that I apply to blocks that are functional, logical, or physical. I also create a lot of other stereotypes, items for review, that sort of thing. And so here's a review stereotype, and notice it has in it an attribute here, a tag I've defined, teams to review, that is tied to a team enumeration that I've created, and I just created powertrain, chassis, and body. It could be any number of teams that you would have on your organization. You can then apply that to a diagram, and then it's available for it to be filtered on using a smart package. So point out that the tag, I've put a multiplicity on it of 0 star. So that means it's optional with no upper bound, so I can have as many of these as I want. So if I want many teams to review it, I can go ahead and add multiple teams to that stereotype. So I'll go ahead and take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a other diagram here, a generic table, and we'll call this diagrams. And we're going to make our element type diagram with a scope of the entire model. And again, scope is hugely powerful. But here's all the diagrams in the table. And if I come here to my select columns and I come down here to teams to review, notice I can start typing here in the query and it filters these. If I turn on teams to review, I now can see all of the teams that have been assigned these diagrams. And so to just add one, you can just come in here and hit plus, and then go ahead and pick the team that you want. If you want to have more than one team, you can hit plus again, and you can go ahead and have 2. And it really makes it convenient with these smart packages. And again, the smart package is kind of a shortcut to where it actually lives. So if this functional block is actually resident in the containment tree up in the functional architecture, but it lets me look at it here in the smart package. So that's really, really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and here's the team smart packages. I already have one set up for body. Let's go ahead and do a chassis one. So we just go ahead and create a smart package, and we'll call this chassis review items. And we'll go to the query, and we will make a find here. And we want to find the type is diagram. And we'll turn expert mode on here, and the properties we want to look for are not, if we want to do like all the logical blocks, you would do applied stereotype logical. You could do that here, but we're going to come down to the review, and we want the teams to review equal to chassis. And by doing that, we now have all of the diagrams that have been tagged for chassis to review. So again, this is really helpful for a lot of purposes. Really makes life easy. Now I'm going to share one other little trick here. Often if you have a lot of stereotypes that you apply, as I do, to use as the basis for filtering, you end up with a lot of clutter on a block. If we take a block and put it on here and we apply the review stereotype, it's going to show up by default on the block, which is kind of annoying. And it's not necessarily useful to have to go around and suppress that all of the time. So there is a little trick inside Magic Draw here. There is an invisible stereotype And if we turn off the filter, here's the invisible stereotype. It's hidden right now, but we can drag the invisible stereotype on. And I'm just doing this to show it for these purposes. But if we take the review stereotype and we specialize the invisible stereotype, it makes it basically disappear, which is really handy. So by making it a generalization, so now the review stereotype is invisible, and now if I get rid of this block, if I drag it back on here, you'll see that the review stereotype has vanished. So when in doubt, when you create these stereotypes, if you don't want them to show up, you can just even come here and do a relationship and make it invisible. There's the invisible stereotype. It's now invisible, and so if I apply the functional stereotype now, it also will not show up on this block. So that's a really powerful way. You can throw stereotypes around with careless abandon, adding tags, using them as ways to sort, and by making them invisible, by specializing the invisible stereotype, you can make them disappear. So that's how I use smart packages. Again, a lot of tag and stereotype-based ones. So we'll do the logical here as an example, and we'll set its query up to just find the blocks that have the logical stereotype applied. So I want blocks as well as subtypes like subsystem or whatever. So we'll set that, include subtypes, and then applied stereotype we will set to logical. And now we have all the blocks that are logical blocks.